This question is from TDKG on Reddit, and this question is, why do I get attached to my Roomba? And there's context. Today I was going to the Reest room, and it's supposed to say restroom, but it definitely says Reest room, and I accidentally stepped on my Roomba, and I felt sad. Why is that?
I mean, honestly, I feel like it's the motion. I feel like I have stuffed animals. I mean, I've had stuffed animals in the past where I will like step on them or find them after years, and they'll be like in a dusty box, and I'll be like, that's kind of sad. But at the same time, I remember being much more sad when the batteries died on my iRobot. Do you remember iRobot?
Of course I remember iRobot.
Or, sorry, not iRobot. Like, there's the dog version of it.
Yeah, there's the puppy.
iDog? It was something like that, and the batteries died on it, and it would, like, walk around on these, like, crappy little wheels, if we're thinking of the same thing. And it would just make, like, 4 different noises and do literally nothing and slam into walls. But when the batteries ran out on that thing, or like it just stopped functioning, I felt like I had lost a close friend of mine.
Yeah.
And I think it's the motion.
Yeah, there's something about the motion that not literally just gives it life, but gives it a reason to be connected to. Like, a weird one was, do you remember the robot dinosaur?
No, tell me about it.
Okay, I don't remember if it was called Rexbot or whatever, and it was like made around the same time the puppy was made, but then I had also a thing called...
It was made around the same time that puppies were first invented.
Yeah, the puppies were created in a lab. Recreated by a labradoodle, the type of dog, the lab.
Zane, what came first, iRobot or just puppies in general?
Definitely iRobot with Will Smith. So there were 2 things that I had. There was the dinosaur, the robot dinosaur, and then a thing called Robo Sapien, which now that I think about it, bad name. The dinosaur was very
good name.
Was somehow very easy to get attached to because you could pet it, and then there was a chance that it started to love you when you pet it, and you were like, oh, I've got this adorable small dinosaur that really likes me. And then the Robo Sapien sucked because it was like you could press any button, and then out of nowhere it would just go, and then it would just start dancing and just go and it could do that whenever it wanted. And
I don't know if I've ever told you this story, but in a similar vein, I remember when I first got Sims 2 for the first time. I was probably like 10 years old, and my sister wanted to watch me play, and I was like, yeah, cool. I definitely wanted to make an older macho looking male and hit on all the babes, but that's fine. I'll just make our family because my 7-year-old sister is watching. And I did that, and I made an entire family, and it looked pretty much like us. And when you start off the game, I didn't know any like the cheats or anything, so you don't have very much money. And so we got this crappy little house, and the stove was very bad because it caught fire the second day. Like 40 minutes into playing the game, the stove caught fire, and because I was still 10 years old and figuring out the game, I didn't know what to do. So my 7-year-old sister watched our entire family die in a house fire that was started on the second day of living, and she cried so hard that my parents didn't let me play that game for a very long time. And that's how I just thought of the idea of like, why do we put so much value on these things that have no meaning at all and no life to them?
I mean, we can put just as much as we would put love into something like a Roomba, as I don't think you're alone on that. I think we all love a Roomba. It does us good. But I think,
a Roomba?
Yeah, Roombas rock. My dad has a Roomba, and it's amazing. And it's like a pet. It's literally like a pet. A pet that you love.
I should say, the house here, I think they do have a Roomba.
All right.
Where I live right now, they do have a Roomba. And it's fun.
There you go. It's like a pet that you love. But, on the contrary, there are robot things that are pets that you hate. Best prime example, frickin' Furbies. Do you remember that? Do you remember a Furby?
Yeah, I think those were just around to scare people.
Yes.
Like, I think the reason that we make the difference is because Roombas are just there to help you.
Yeah.
That's literally it. So you're like, oh, my little buddy. You step on it, and you're like, not only am I losing a friend, I'm also losing not having to use a broom.
Yeah.
But Furbies, you gain nothing.
With a Furby, there are 2 things that I know that my Furby would always do. It would, at any given time, it would yell, "Feed me!" And then you would have to put your finger in its mouth and press its tongue so that it felt like it was being fed, which was terrible and terrifying. And my dad would also
Yeah.
tell me that thing, it can wake up whenever it wants. That's the worst. Robo Sapien, dance whenever he wants, fine. Furby, waking up whenever it wants,
Feed me!
never okay. And I will
4
tell you why.
a.m. feed me's are never
No,
good.
it's worse. It's worse. My dad would say, like, he would come in to, like, tuck me in or whatever, and that thing would just start shouting behind him, and it would scare the hell out of him. But imagine being just a little kid who has this terrible fear that there are monsters under his bed, and at 3 in the morning, when you're starting to fall asleep, this thing on your shelf just shouts, "You scared me!" And it's just out of nowhere in its voice.
So scary.
You're so convinced. You're finally convinced. All right, no monsters around. I've triple checked
Furby,
everything.
what scared you?
And then it just yells whatever
Tell me,
it wants.
Furby.
And you're just all of a sudden, how can you not have a fear that there are monsters haunting you everywhere? It's the worst thing. A Roomba does you good, but a Furby does you dirty. And as we all know, Roomba never does you dirty, because that's the one thing it's good at preventing is a mess.
Dirt. Yeah, I agree. Way to tie it in there.
Thank
I feel
you.
like I can't really break that seal open because you just kept it on so nice.